Alright guys, welcome back to my Memorial Day special. We're continuing on with Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Online, Turnabout Escort. The trial's getting even more insane now. We're back in the lobby now after a break since our witness, apparently that's his name, fainted, so. Great job in there, Apollo. Thanks, Trucy, but I couldn't have done it without you. You really saved our case in there. I don't think Winston Payne was going to help us again. Well, someone's got to watch out for you. It's pretty strange what happened in there, don't you think? Now it's looking a lot like the aptly named witness is the real killer. Yeah, I guess. There are a few things I don't understand, though. Like, how did Witness even get into the car in the first place? Well, I'm not really sure yet. But we're going to find out, I can tell you that. Yes, I almost forgot that loud clearing of the throat. Apollo, my boy! Think fast, Justice. Hello, Mr. Dugal. What kind of a greeting is that, Polly? Be more polite. What did I tell you about calling me Polly? Oh, to be young again. So full of humor, wit, and vigor. Was it really that funny? Was it really that funny? Anyway, Apollo, I just come to congratulate you on your work thus far. I am happy to say that I saw most of your performance. You certainly seem to have caught the real criminal. Oh, well, thanks a lot, Mr. Dugal. However, seriously, what is with that stare of his? It's creepy. It is unlikely that you will be able to apprehend Witness with the evidence you currently have. Not only does he have no established motive, but there is no proof he was ever in my vehicle. Well, Matthias Thomas has no motive either. Of course not, but he was found in the vehicle when the police tracked it down. Oh yeah. So what you're saying is stick a fork in us, we're done? I didn't say that. Of course not, Polly. Don't take things so seriously. Yes, Polly, I do believe you worry too much. Thanks a lot, Trucy. Now you've got him started. All I meant to say was that you will need more evidence to save Matthias. Evidence which I happen to have. What? No! No, I won't use forged evidence to win. I just won't. Forged evidence? I wasn't talking about any forged evidence. I was talking about my card key. You mean the card key you lent to Ilva Moore on the night of the murder? Yes, exactly. My government position gives me certain, privileges, you see. So while you were battling that high-strung witness in there, I was getting a few investigators to run. A fingerprint check. What? Whose fingerprints did you find on the card? Isn't it obvious, Apollo? Witnesses. Aha! I applaud your deduction, milady. Yes, indeed, Witness's fingerprints are all over this card. Well, I've hit my embarrassment quota for the day. Luckily, they are unspoiled by my fingerprints on account of these fabulous gloves I always wear. I'm the only one who wears gloves all the time, actually. They're sort of a staple of mine. Anyhow, here's the card that will win you this case. Of course, you still have to figure out the mystery surrounding it. And when you do, let me know, because it's supposed to be my personal property. Now that rotten witness got his fingers on it, I can't understand. Alrighty. Thank you so much for this. Not to worry, Apollo, my boy, not to worry. Just remember, be wary of Witness when you resume the proceedings, Apollo, my boy. Taking him down will be the climax of this trial, your greatest triumph. And Mr. Dugal, didn't you see him faint? I think he knows he's beaten. Remember this, Apollo. A cornered animal will do anything to survive. I'm sure you'll be fine, though. Good luck, and I'll be watching you out there. He really is a strange guy, isn't he? Hysteric Dugal? Yeah, he definitely ranks up there. But as far... Oops. Sorry about that, guys. As far as I can tell, he's not hiding anything. He's someone we can trust. Well, that's good. Here's Phoenix. Hey, game. How goes it? Hi there, Daddy. Did you see us out there? Of course I did. You two really tore it up out there. So young and yet so smart. Reminds me of me at that age. What do you think of the case now, by the way? It's getting more complicated, that's for sure. You've got your work cut out for you, but I think you can probably get it done. Speaking of the case, have you thought about what I told you? Sorry, what was that again? You remember? No one is above the law? Right, yeah, what does that mean exactly? If I told you, where would be the fun in that? But what if the whole case depends on whether or not I figure it out? Apollo? Yes? Right now you know everything you need to know. Just trust me, okay? Alright. Sorry I can't chat for long, but I've got an important errand to run. But you'll miss the rest of the trial. I think I'll make it back in time to catch the last few minutes. Don't worry. Good luck out there. He left. I guess he's got things to do. Don't worry, Apollo. You left me to watch out for you. Yeah, thanks, Trucy. Hey, who's that? It's just the bailiff. Mr. Justice, court is going to resume in a... Mr. Justice, court is going to resume in a couple minutes. Thank you, we'll be there soon. What are you waiting for, Apollo? Let's go! Okay, I'm coming. Okay, Justice, focus, breathe in and out. Time to finish this. For great justice. I really need to rethink my snappy catchphrases. Back in the courtroom. Hold on a second, guys. I gotta adjust the camera here a little bit. There we go. Court is back in session for the trial of Matthias Thomas. And as our witness managed to compose himself? Surprisingly, yes, Your Honor. His fainting spell was nothing a bucket of cold water couldn't cure. I hope that was a joke. Anyhow, our witness has expressed a desire to explain himself, as it were. I should think so. He has brought heavy suspicion onto himself, it seems, with his string of faulty testimonies. And now it seems that he is, at the very least, a perjurer. But of course, we will hear his explanation before making that assessment. It should be interesting. Well, Whitaker Ness, can you now explain yourself? Your diagram has once again been disproved by Mr. Justice. We know that if Matthias Thomas shot the victim could not have sat here. If he were, he would have been shot in the left temple rather than the right. We also know the victim could not have been here. If Matthias is our killer, this is because investigators tell us that the victim was not shot at close range. None of the places you say you saw the victim are possible, and I want to know why. Don't forget, Your Honor, there's a good possibility that he's been lying this whole time. He could be the real killer! Ugh. You have a valid point, Mr. Justice, but I would still like to hear his side of the story once more. Fine, yes, fine, I'll explain. You see, it was actually my older masterpiece that was more correct. I saw the victim facing towards the other side of the car. That was how he was shot in the right temple from a distance of 3 meters. I swear on my bachelor's degree that this is the truth. So you see that you thought the victim was facing one way when he was actually facing the other? You seem to be making a lot of mistakes, witness. I think he's just made this last one, Your Honor. As usual, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. Don't you mean the witness, Apollo? I think that joke has run its course. Indeed. You may begin your formal testimony, Mr. Ness. Everyone makes mistakes. Fine, I screwed up, okay? Even geniuses do it from time to time. But I definitely wasn't lying. I just got a few details mixed up, that's all. The truth is, the victim was facing away from me. His right temple was in line with the driver. Matthias Thomas is the killer, I swear on my coin collection. That was a very energetic testimony. The defense may begin the cross-examination. No sweat, Your Honor. But how can we tell that you aren't simply lying? You have to admit, this many screw-ups seems suspicious. Yes, well, it happens, trust me. It's not easy being a witness to a murder. It's a stressful situation. My mind was racing. Your Honor, this line of questioning isn't going to take us anywhere good. My eardrums have suffered much already. Yes, I agree. Please continue with your testimony, witness. But they were very important details. The accuracy of your details determines the fate of the defendant. I know that. I didn't mean to mix up my facts. You really need to learn to forgive. Sheesh. He does have a point, Apollo. It's important to be able to let things go. Whose side are you on anyway? It doesn't take a genius to figure out that this is going nowhere. Carry on with the cross-examination, Mr. Justice. Right away, Your Honor. Then how did you see Ilva Moore's face? Earlier you said that you knew it was him because you saw his face. Well, I saw his face in the window reflection, yes. But wouldn't that be incredibly difficult seeing as the car was speeding past you? It just seems like a long shot. The witness has an excellent memory and a very high IQ. What may be a difficult feat for you, it might be easy for him. Maybe easy for him. I'm not too sure of that, Mr. Payne. However, it is impossible to prove whether or not he could have seen the victim through a reflection. I believe the best thing to do is to continue with the cross-examination. I almost had him. Can we really say that for sure? Don't you think that you're somewhat of a suspect now, Mr. Ness? The defense should keep its opinions to itself. This
This is a cross-examination. We aren't interested in wild theories and conjecture.
Exactly. It's not like there's any reason to suspect me. You can't link me to the murder. Come to think of it, I want that added to my testimony. You can't link me to the murder. Want to add that to your own testimony of your own free will? I don't think this has ever happened before. Well, it's happening now. Let me add it to my testimony. Okay, if you really want to. The witness may continue with his testimony.
It's not like you link me to the murder. Alright. Now it's time to go over all this evidence and try to link him to this murder. Alright. First of all... Okay, so we can't find him in the autopsy report. Do there. Note. Oh, this card key! A card key to Esther Dugal's limousine found in the vehicle itself. The only fingerprints on it are that of the witness, Whitaker Ness. Booyah!
Objection!
Witness, you're finished. It's over. It's funny, I thought taking you down would be more difficult.
What are you blabbering about?
Does everyone remember this card key? It belongs to Esther Dugal. It's a card key to our limousine crime scene, as you know. So what's your point? During the proceedings, Mr. Esther Dugal ordered a fingerprint check done on this card. Ugh. And I think we can all figure out just whose fingerprints they found.
Yours, Mr. Witness! No! Now I understand why witnesses rarely add to their own testimonies. I've been framed, fooled, tricked, swindled, hoodwinked. Mr. Justice, this is an incredible piece of information. This card key almost guarantees that Witness was in the vehicle. But when did he touch the card key in the first place?
I think I can answer that question, actually. He touched the card key. It's gotta be right before the murder. Right before the murder, Your Honor. He touched the card key when Ilva Moore had it. That was his only opportunity. Here's what happened on that fateful night. After Esther Dugal loaned him the card key, Ilva Moore talked to Matthias to win the vehicle. Next, Witness came with a gun in hand and demanded they let him in. He went through Ilva Moore's pockets looking for money. This is when he touched the card key. Since it wasn't valuable, he just left it on the floor. This was how the police found it. Afterward, Witness ordered Matthias Thomas to drive, and after a while, he shot Ilva Moore. He then forced Matthias Thomas to touch the gun, left it in the vehicle, and ran away. Witness then called the police, gave them the car's information, and left Matthias sitting in a daze. Why would the card key bear Witness's fingerprints, but not the gun? My guess is that he wiped his prints off the gun, but forgot about the tiny card key. Well, when about the motive, I understand why he would hijack the car but shoot Ilva Moore. There must have been a confrontation between them, one that didn't end well. I'm still pretty skeptical of all this.
Mr. Justice, your theory seems plausible. We can't let baseless conjecture decide this trial.
Well, I admit my idea is a little sketchy. But baseless, Your Honor? All the proof we need is staring right at us. Just look at the victim's face.
It's all lies, I tell you. Lies! I've been framed! Yes, I certainly see your point. Bailiff, arrest the witness.
Wow.
Well, that was certainly an interesting turn of events.
Yes, he was, Your Honor.
I think that our only witness was behind this all along. Simply staggering.
Oh, it's finally over. Jeez. Oh, my back hurts. You find it staggering, Apollo? Not really, no, but it does seem a little strange when I think about it.
In any case, the outcome of this trial has become immediately obvious. I've consulted with the jurists, and we've come to a unanimous decision. We hereby find the defendant, Matthias Thomas. What? Come on. Payne.
Wait!
Mr. Payne, what's the meaning of this?
Apollo Justice, listen to me! He called you by your name. That card key, there's something very wrong with that card key. I can't believe I've only just realized it now, but take a look in the court record. Isn't there something really, really strange about the fingerprints? There's something that isn't there that should be. On the fingerprints on that. Oh. Matthias's fingerprints are on there too.
Mr. Mr. Payne, stand down now before I declare you into contempt of court. Mr. Justice, you don't have to listen to this. The prosecution is obviously stalling for time.
No, listen to me, Apollo. Earlier I helped you because I wanted you to get the right man. But what nest isn't him? I know it.
Well, Mr. Justice, it seems you have a choice to make. What is your opinion on the prosecution's... I think I agree.
Well, I wonder what's so strange about that card key.
Oh, what?
I can't believe it. It can't be. I might regret this later, but for now, it's the right thing to do.
The defense agrees with the prosecution's claim, Your Honor. What? But Mr. Justice, you won the trial. Why are you refusing to accept it? Doesn't anyone want to win anymore?
Not at the expense of the truth.
Well then, Mr. Justice, if the person you spent the last 2 hours proving is the killer is not the killer, then who is?
Come again?
I want an answer right now. Who is the true killer of Illamore?
It's gotta be Asteric. I can't believe it's come to this. This is insane. I never imagined I'd accuse him in a million years, but I can't back down now.
The defense names Asteric Dugal as the killer! What?
Really, Apollo? Are you absolutely sure?
I'm positive, Trucy. Your Honor, this data doesn't just say that Witness's fingerprints are on the card key. It also says that his fingerprints are the only ones on it.
Exactly. Asteric Dugal testified earlier that he gave Illamore the card key.
I loaned him my card key, trusting him to leave it with Matthias afterward.
Since he wears gloves, it's conceivable that his fingerprints wouldn't be on the card. But there's no reason for Illamore's fingerprints to be missing.
In other words, Asteric Dugal lied about lending the card to Illamore. Well, what did he gain from lying about that?
Recall his statement from earlier, Your Honor.
I elected to walk home since I needed the exercise anyway. I told Mr. Moore where my car was parked, and then I went on my merry way. You see, I allowed Mr. Moore to borrow my card key for temporary use. I also gave him a note to present to Matthias explaining the situation.
Notice a common theme, Your Honor? Everything he said promoted the idea that he never went to the limousine. The fact that he lied in his testimony tells me that he, in fact, did go to the limousine. We were meant to think that Illamore went to the vehicle alone, but if he didn't touch the card key, then Asteric Dugal must have gone with him. He must have been the third person in the limousine. And the only reason Asteric Dugal would lie about that is because he is the murderer.
Holy crap. Order. I'll have order in this courtroom if it kills me.
What? Why is that transparent? Crap.
Apollo, may I ask what you are doing?
Doing? Well, he's uncovering the truth. That's what he's doing.
Truth? I personally doubt that. What truth is there? In a lawyer that turns on his own colleagues, on distinguishing officials of the government. Settle down, Mr. Dugal. The defense and prosecution raised a disturbing claim against you. Although it is true you participate in the making of laws, that does not mean you are up above them.
Doesn't that sound familiar, Apollo? Your Honor, this witness is clearly the murderer we've been looking for. Why else would he lie right from the beginning?
I fear this assumption is quite mistaken, Your Honor. Allow me to explain the flawed reasoning of Mr. Payne and Mr. Justice. They have the idea that the lack of Ilva's fingerprints on the card key proves that I lied. And they believe that I lied because I secretly went with Ilva in the limousine and killed him. Is that your assessment, Apollo?
Well, yes, do you agree, Mr. Payne? Well, yes, I do, Mr. Justice.
So nice to see them getting along, even if they are fools. Now let me ask you this, dear attorneys. What if Ilva Moore was wearing gloves?
Well, then we'd be completely wrong.
Bingo, Mr. Payne. The fact is Ilva Moore was wearing gloves that night. Does that solve your contradiction?
It would solve the contradiction if it were true. But can you prove it?
I'm afraid I don't have to prove anything, Apollo, my boy. You're the one accusing me of murder. It's up to you to supply the proof. Isn't that right, dear judge? You are correct, Mr. Dugal. Unless you can provide proof that Ilva Moore was not wearing gloves that night, this trial is over. You will be forced to name witness as the murderer.
I know where we can find proof of this, Your Honor. Are you sure? Positive. I've paid attention to everything that's happened so far, both inside the courtroom and out. This is where we can find our proof that Ilva Moore wasn't wearing gloves. Yeah, bears the defense. It's in the evidence. Here, Your Honor, the answer's in the evidence. What? Ah, crap. Crap. Whoops, my bad. Let's try in the testimony. Proof isn't in any piece of evidence, Your Honor. The proof is in what this witness told us. What? When you testified for us earlier, you made a critical error, and you repeated that error when you gave me the card key that would frame witness. I'm actually the only one who wears gloves at work, you know? Very daring of me, to be sure. I'm the only one who wears gloves all the time, actually. They're sort of a staple of mine. Oh. If Mr. Dugal is the only person at City Hall that wears gloves, then logically, Elva Mora was not wearing gloves! This is incredible, but there's something I don't understand. If Mr. Dugal is the killer, what about witness? He seemed incredibly suspicious. Well, my last theory about it being the murder was kind of wrong, but I have another theory. You? Really? Yes. Witness wasn't the killer, but he was clearly hiding something. The mistakes in his testimony can't be a coincidence. Witness was an accomplice! Asteric Dugal paid Witness to pretend that he saw the limousine on the road. This explains why his testimony was so full of holes. And when you paid him to testify, you tricked him into touching the card key. I've been framed, fooled, tricked, swindled, hoodwinked. And then you tried to frame him by giving me that card key. Well, the sake of argument, let's suppose you're right about all this. Why wouldn't the innocent Matthias Thomas tell the police what happened if I framed him? Surely a high-ranking city council member could easily blackmail and control his own servants. Exactly. I thought I noticed something strange about your earlier behavior, Mr. Dugal. Is Matthias here right now, Mr. Dugal? Or that was Apollo? I'm afraid not, my boy. What was that look just now? You seemed very suspicious when I asked you where Matthias was. Almost like you were making sure he kept his mouth shut. I think you're the reason Matthias refused to talk about what happened, Mr. Dugal. What about the note? Doesn't that prove that Elva Mora went to the vehicle alone? The note could have been created after the crime and then planted in the vehicle. There's no proof of when the note was written. Ugh. Mr. Dugal, did you really orchestrate all this? Did you really kill Elva Mora? It's the only answer that explains every mystery, Your Honor. Not that I would expect him to confess. Gotta be kidding me. You don't expect me to confess, Apollo. What low regard you must have for me. In fact, I will confess my crime right this instant. You will? Really? Absolutely. Your Honor, I have made a mistake and I humbly admit it. I, Asteric Dugal, hereby confess to the world my crime of perjury. What? Saw that one coming. Mr. Dugal, are you saying that these allegations are untrue? That you did not kill Elva Mora? Of course not, dear Judge. Don't be ridiculous. However, I did lie in my testimony, and for that I am truly sorry. As you should be, Mr. Dugal, and I am not yet convinced of your innocence. Worry not, Your Honor. You will be. If you would allow it, I shall testify to this court once again. Does that sound acceptable to you, Apollo, my boy? Bring it on. That's the spirit. Alright. My crime. As I said, I did lie in my testimony earlier. I did go near the limousine. But that doesn't prove that I committed the murder. After all, I never went in the limousine myself. You see, I wrote a note for Matthias and gave it to Elva. But then we decided on a different plan. Since Mr. Moore felt a little uncomfortable, I agreed to escort him to the limousine. I explained the situation to Matthias and left my card key in the vehicle for safekeeping. After that, Elva got in the car and I walked home. That's all there is to it. So let me get this straight. You were going to just give him the note and card key to take to Matthias, but you decided not to? Yes, exactly. We decided that I might as well go over and tell Matthias what was happening myself. I lied about this because I didn't want to bring any unnecessary suspicion on myself. When I heard that Elva Mora was killed in my own vehicle, I panicked and decided to lie. Anyway, this is why Mr. Moore's fingerprints are not on the card key. Right. Well, that's certainly seems believable. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Good luck, Apollo. I don't know why the graphics aren't coming up for the cross-examination. It's weird. Alright, let's just start pressing. Isn't that highly unbecoming of a political figure, Mr. Dugal? Yes, it is, Apollo, and I'm very sorry. I will gladly accept whatever punishment is brought onto me. I now realize that lying to make it look like I never went near the vehicle has caused me trouble. Much more trouble, in fact, than if I just told the truth in the first place. This guy's good. No wonder he's a politician. Can we continue with the cross-examination, please? So you say, but can you prove that? Once again, it is not that I need. It's not I that needs to prove anything. The murder was committed in the limousine. If you believe that I am the murderer, you need some sort of proof that I was in the limousine. Your Honor, what about witness? You were ready to convict him for the murder, even though we didn't have any hard proof.
Remember that he acted incredibly suspicious and lied multiple times in his testimony. And I don't think I even need to mention his fingerprints on the card key. Oh yeah. Witness is correct. Just because he walked the victim to the victim vehicle does not mean he went in the vehicle with him. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Dugal. A different plan? You recall I was going to tell Matthias to give Ilva a ride home using a note. But after I gave Ilva the note and put it in his pocket, he asked me to come along the way. I suppose he felt awkward going to someone else's chauffeur and asking for a ride. In fact, I remember exactly what he said when I offered. I couldn't possibly. It's your limousine after all. So being the good friend I am, I went over and told Matthias myself. We forgot about the note. The anecdote of it is interesting. This note of his seems important. Should I ask for some more details? The writing service. Mr. Dugal, I'm still wondering about how you wrote that note. What did you use as a writing service out in the parking lot? Or were you inside when you wrote the note? We were discussing this outside, of course, so I used my hand as a writing surface. Not the best quality, but it gets the job done, as they say. That detail's important. Can the witness add it to the testimony? Indeed. I don't see what good it will do. I am completely sure that this is the truth. Witness, add this detail to your testimony immediately. Certainly. Didn't really have a good place, so this must be where we have to present. So let me look at this note. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, okay. Guys, it says, hold on. Let me bring it up here. Note from Mr. Dugal, the defendant, Matthias Thomas. You can't really see that word, but it says very, over on this section, it says very neatly written. So, and writing on your hand is not neatly written, so. Objection! You say you used your hand as a writing surface for the note, correct? As I said, I am completely 100% sure. Mr. Dugal, I don't know how to say this, but I've got you. Oh, really? Do tell. Yes, please do share. Well, it's better if I show you the problem rather than tell you. Your Honor, do you have a piece of paper nearby and a pen? Oh, yes, of course. It's always important to be equipped with such things. Yeah, sure. Anyway, would you mind writing on a piece of paper using the palm of your hand as a surface? All right, then, if this is important. That is very difficult. It came out all messy. Exactly, Your Honor. Now take a look at this note which Asteric Dugal supposedly wrote on his hand. Well, oh my, such elegant writing. Not a single letter looks badly formed. Aha, so that's your plan. Exactly. Your Honor, if this note is so well written, it could not have been written on his hand! That was a mistake! You bet it was, Dugal. Your last one. Mr. Justice, what does this mean exactly? Mr. Dugal did not write that note on his hand. But what does that prove? Yes, that proves nothing, so what if I didn't actually write it on my hand? I was simply confused. Oh, really, Mr. Dugal? Didn't you say multiple times that you were completely sure that you wrote the note on your hand? Curse this infernal tongue! Your Honor, Mr. Dugal didn't write the note on his hand before the murder. Then I believe he wrote it after the murder. To give himself an alibi. I don't know why my camera stand's being really weird. There we go. Indeed, he wrote the note after the murder, most likely in the limousine itself, and then planted it in Elvin Moore's pocket. He created his own little alibi. Well, that's ridiculous. If I'm the murderer, why are my fingerprints on the gun? Do I even need to point it out? You wear gloves all the time. You're even wearing them right now. Mr. Dugal, you were the third person in the vehicle, not witness. You shot it from the back seat, then left your driver to take the heat. Then you hired witness to act as a witness and hired me to defend Matthias. Whether Matthias won or lost didn't matter to you because either way you would win. But now it's over. Wait, this is crazy. Judge, you cannot convict me of this crime with no hard evidence. What I said, what I did, what I lied about does not make me a murderer alone. As much as it disgusts me, the witness is correct. No! Or no! Oh dear. Someone said hold it. Your Honor, I believe I have not yet addressed this court. I do not wish to. Matthias Thomas? You're refusing to speak about the crime that caused us much trouble? That is true, Your Honor, but I have changed my mind. I will not see the courage of this young defense attorney go to waste. Well, that's a feather in my cap, I guess. Matthias, what are you doing? How long have you been here? Need I remind you about our agreement? Agreement, Mr. Dugal? You better not be talking about what we think you're talking about. Dugal, I will not be controlled by you, not anymore. Your Honor, Mr. Justice and Mr. Payne are correct in asserting that Dugal is the killer. I saw it with my own eyes, in the rearview mirror. Are you serious? You are confirming our suspicions? Matthias, how dare you! You little worm! Oh, snap. Your Honor, I am positive that he did it. He forced me to touch the murder weapon and made me stay in the car and take the blame. This is madness. He is simply conspiring against me, ruining my good name. I am not convinced, Mr. Dugal. However, the word of one person will not be enough to confirm the witness's guilt. What about the word of two people, Your Honor? Witness, how'd you even get in here? It was difficult, believe me, but I confess what I did. I was hired by Dugal to pretend that I saw the crime. He offered me riches. That dirtbag showed me that card key before I testified. I foolishly grabbed it to examine it, and then he betrayed me. He's the real criminal. I was pretty close to my assumptions. Give yourself a chance and you'll surprise yourself. And anyway, I'm sorry about all that. I will repay my debt to society. Fine, good, that's all I wanted to say. Amazing. Not one but two people have come forward and named you as the murderer, Mr. Dugal. What do you have to say for yourself? You have no proof. Of course we have proof. Two people just barged in and accused you. If that's not proof, then what is? Solid physical evidence, Mr. Bain. It is something you still lack. And it is the very thing that will mark your defeat. What? Come now, both of these people who accuse me of murder suspects themselves. It is clear they must have conspired together to blame me for the crime. As unlucky as it seems considering the circumstances, I can't deny the possibility, and this is a murder trial. We arrested witness because of the evidence presented against him. That is the card key with his fingerprints. Without that same sort of clear-cut evidence, we cannot convict Mr. Dugal of this crime. But Your Honor, what about the jury system? What happened to all that talk about common sense? Surely the jury will vote for Mr. Dugal's detainment. For the trial of very Miss Sam, as you are no doubt referring to, there were only two possibilities. Her and Miss Sam and Christoph Gavin. I don't need to tell you what happened to him. In this trial, however, there are three possibilities. Yet the jury can only vote guilty or not guilty. They cannot directly convict Mr. Dugal. I am afraid that as of now, witness is a far likelier candidate to be named the murderer. No, the truth is right in front of us. Why can't we get to it? I'm sorry, Mr. Justice. Mr. Payne, why did you decide to help me so much today? Mr. Justice, I've been a prosecutor for 40 years. In all that time, I've lost a lot of trials. I mean, a lot of trials. Recently, I realized something. Helping the defense is a better use of my time occasionally. You see, Phoenix Wright asked me to go a little easier on you as a favor. He said it was important. Since when do you listen to him? Well, he offered me $50. I made it all easier to swallow. Really? $50 was all you needed? Don't judge me. Do you have any idea what a losing prosecutor makes in a year? Well, thank you anyway. Don't mention it. I mean, really, don't mention it. I have a reputation to uphold. And don't you dare think that I've gone soft. So Mr. Wright convinced Winston Payne to help me out. And I still lost. Great, I'm sure glad Mr. Wright isn't here to see this. I would appreciate it if the defense and prosecution stopped the idle chatter. I believe it is time to hand down my verdict. The same verdict I would have handed down already if Mr. Justice hadn't been so noble. Noble and foolish. Come to think of it, Mr. Justice, you can consider our contract terminated. I hired you to defend Matthias, not accuse me of murder. Of course it matters not anymore, Mr. Justice. You can't prove I was in the limousine. You lose. Objection! What? That sounded like Phoenix. Yes! Hold it right there, Dugal. Sweet! Phoenix Wright. What is the meaning of this intrusion? Yeah, that seems like a bad time to just barge in here. Trust me, Apollo, it's a very good time. You remember that errand I mentioned earlier? Well, I finished it. An audio tape, what does this mean? Quite a bit, Your Honor. It is my duty to inform the court of new evidence found concerning this murder. Evidence that, as it happens, proves that Asteric Dugal was in the limousine that night. This evidence proves his guilt. Really? Preposterous, ridiculous, you're just bluffing and hoping for a confession. But how did you come into possession of such evidence, Mr. Wright? Well, I had some assistance, of course. A few guys at the precinct helped me since I was about to get reinstated soon anyway. We planted a bug listening device on the outside of your coat when you weren't looking. Really? How did you know something would happen? I'm what you would call an acquaintance of Ilvermore. He was always suspicious of you, Mr. Dugal, always. Well, for goodness sakes, let's hear this decisive evidence already. Quite the meeting today, was it not? Simply smashing, I must say. So we saw this in the beginning. If you'll excuse me, I'd like to get going. I have quite a long walk home and it's cold out here. Mr. Moore, why don't you take my car? My driver would be happy to transport you. I like this music. I couldn't possibly. It's your limousine after all. No, I insist my home is only a 10-minute walk from City Hall. Worry not on my behalf. Thank you. Wouldn't it make more sense if we both went in your limousine? Oh, we didn't see this before, guys. That way, you could drop me off at my home and then be taken home yourself. Well, I certainly can't say no to that, can I? Off we go! The transmission ends there. Stuart Dugal went with Ilva Moore in the limousine. That is all. Do you have anything to say for yourself, Mr. Dugal? No! Apollo, my boy, you are victorious. I killed him. I shot him with that pistol. I manipulated a witness and Matthias Thomas. Everyone was blocking my way to the top, and I let my emotions get the better of me. Well, it's been a long and winding road, but I think we're finally at the end of the trial. Mr. Wright, if I may ask, why did you wait so long before presenting this evidence to the court? It wouldn't have proved anything at the beginning of the trial, Your Honor. Dugal wasn't even close to a suspect then. That's why the real heroes are currently sitting at the defense bench and at the prosecution bench. Hey, don't forget about the co-counsel bench. Of course, we can't forget you, Trucy. I've consulted with the jury, and I believe it is time to announce the verdict. Your Honor, may I say something first? Well, yes, of course. What is it you want to say? Thank you, Mr. Justice. Thank you for everything. All I do is my job, Matthias, but you're welcome. Alright then, it is time for the verdict to be announced. What? No, not again, Mr. Payne. What is it now? I was just kidding around, Your Honor. You can announce your verdict. Well, I'm announcing the verdict and whether anyone likes it or not. We hereby find the defendant, Matthias Thomas, not guilty! And we did it! We beat Turnabout Escort. Court is adjourned. Alright, let's wrap this up and finish off our Memorial Day special. Great job in there, Apollo. You did it. We did it, Trucy. Hey, don't forget about me. Well, of course we couldn't have done it without you, Daddy. We can say that again. You recruited Mr. Payne to help us. You came up with decisive evidence. You knew how it was all going to unfold. But there's something that's been bothering me, Mr. Wright. Why couldn't I sense that Mr. Dugal was lying? Have I lost my ability to perceive? I don't think so, Apollo. Remember, Stuart Dugal is a politician. Lying is his profession. I guess I can argue with that. Can't argue with that. So I suppose you figured out what I meant by no one is above the law. I think I get it. No one is above the law, not even those who are responsible for making it. Correct. As lawyers, we need to remove all of our prejudices, biases, and assumptions to find the truth. That's our job. But Mr. Wright, there's something else I need to know. Shoot. Was it really legal for you to get all of that evidence and then just present it out of the blue? Well, you might say that I'm entitled to certain privileges now that I'm part of the prosecutor's office. Really? Wow, that's surprising. Why aren't you going back to being a defense attorney? Just felt like shaking things up, I guess. I'll see you in court soon, Apollo. So yeah, I guess you go up against Phoenix Wright, in the actual Apollo Justice game. And with that, so ends one of the craziest cases of my career. It's been a year since I first became a defense lawyer, and I'm always learning. Now that Phoenix Wright has become a prosecutor, who knows what the future holds. My name is Apollo Justice, and I am a defense attorney. Thanks for playing. The end. Alright. And that's going to wrap it up. We'll go ahead and wrap this up with the post-show coming up next.